I'm Emily, and Jake and I both did PBP in 2007. Our bikes from it are back over there too. Both of us did it on fixed gears. And what it was an amazing experience. I had a great time. I don't want to go on for a long time, but what I do want to say, Jake is going to tell you a lot more about the local randonneuring events that we have here, which are also tons of fun, and we have fabulous routes, and they're really worth coming out for, even if you're not interested in doing PBP, if you're not doing that anytime soon, wherever. And what I think is really cool about both our rides, and even PBP was like this, is the variety of bikes that people use successfully and happily and comfortably is amazing. And you'll hear a lot of stuff about this is the perfect bike to use, and this is the right kind of gear, and you have to have this, and you have to have that. And if you believe the magazines and the internets and the forums and all this stuff, you would think that if you just show up on a ride with any old regular old bike, you'll just be laughed out of town on your first 200K, and it is so not like that. The important thing about your bike is that it be comfortable, and you have to have a way of strapping lights onto it at night, and you have to be able to strap on whatever other stuff you need to carry. And there's tons of ways of strapping on lights. There's tons of ways of strapping on other stuff. There's no one right way to set up your bike. Whatever is comfortable for you, works for you, that's the right bike to use. You can change it over the years. You don't have to have what everybody says is the perfect rando bike. A lot of what they say is good for randonneuring is true. Lots of it be very good advice. But if you have the bike that you have, you should absolutely come out on our rides, give them a try. It's a really great time. It's a really welcoming crowd. Everybody's really friendly. So Jake's going to tell you all about it, but we really hope to see you all out there.
Thank you.
How many people here really like cycling, really like bikes? Okay, great, it's like everyone. All right, how many people really love paperwork, forms, and... No one? Well, then I'm sorry, none of you can be randonneurs. It's a sport for people that really like paperwork, as I like to joke. My name is Kassen. I am the Regional Brevet Administrator for the Boston RUSA region. There's a whole lot of acronyms, so we'll go over a couple of them quickly. Let's go down. Yeah, so New England Randonneurs is the group that's out of Boston. We do rides really all over Eastern Massachusetts, Vermont, Rhode Island, and there's another group out in Westfield that sort of does the Berkshires. And we're the only groups that actually run officially sanctioned ACP, RUSA brevets. There's other groups that do things that are kind of like it, and sometimes people use the terms. But if you want to do that sort of stuff, if you want to go to Paris particularly, you got to come through us. We run all the sanctioning rides. As Harriet said, she did the 200, the 300, the 400, and 600K. In France, well, didn't skip the 400, but the rules are pretty much the same. Only now they are very strict about what you have to do for Americans and everyone else in the world. You still have to do that full series here. We run them. I'll show you the website at the end. And basically, you'll sign up with us. We'll help you out. We'll sanction them. The Boston Brevet Series came, New England Randonneurs. We've been doing this in this area for a long time, since the 1980s. Randonneurs USA is the United States sanctioning organization for randonneuring. And CRW has a lot of connections to it. RUSA was formed in 1998, sort of to replace another organization, and it was formed by a lot of CRW people. And actually, RUSA's charter is based a lot on CRW's. Dave Jordan, who I don't know if anyone remembers, yeah, he was one of the founding members. A couple other people. So a lot of connections to CRW, which is great. And also, just sort of quickly, this region in particular has some of the best. We have some of the best records of American regions in France, but particularly for women, we've had some really great records. I think 4 of the people here, 4 of the women here hold records: youngest rider, oldest rider, first rider to finish. So it's
the tandem record as well.
So
Mixed in.
yeah, and we're probably I would sort of say we may set a tandem record this upcoming year too. So, but who knows? It's not a race. It is really a couple of terms again. A populaire is a brevet that's under 200K. It's not a brevet, it's popular. The first one we have around here is right in Concord, starts at the Shelby School, and that's going to be March 23rd, so it's really right around the corner. The series starts very early in the year, unfortunately. A brevet is pretty much any ride from 200K up until 1,200 kilometers or to 1199. And then there's flushes, which are team events. They are really fun. We will run here. It'll be in mid-May. Website can tell you more about that. And SR series is completing the 2, 3, 4, and 6, which you have to do in the year of PBP. So if you want to go Paris this year, and unfortunately they're probably sold out for the first time at about 6,500 riders. So you may have to wait till 2023, but when you do sign up, you have to do a full series, and in this case, it needs to be, or PBP years, it needs to be before July 1st. Yeah, and something reminded me, there's lots of other 1,200 Ks now too. Around here, locally, the one that probably a lot of you have heard of is Boston, Montreal, Boston. Sadly, that ride is defunct at this point, but there are lots of others. You know, every year there's a new one. There's about at least a half dozen domestically, and then literally there's probably about 100 worldwide. It's a very international sport. So a couple things, sort of the anatomy of a brevet, and this is all talking about sort of before PBP. Our rides start very early, sometimes very, very early. Over in Westfield, they'll start as early as midnight or 2 a.m. Around here, our longer rides will start at 4 a.m. So, you know, we often say the getting to the start is the hardest part. If you can sort of like mentally wake up, it may be raining, you know, get yourself out of bed, you probably only got a couple hours of sleep. If you can make it to the start, you've done half the ride. You have a control, and a control is a stop, is a place where you have to get a stamp on your brevet card sign. It's the same type of cards that Arian showed. You know, either you can get a receipt someplace. There's different rules depending on the ride. We make it pretty clear. You have to follow the course as given to you. We'll give you a cue sheet. Yes, we still have them. We also have GPS routes and so forth. And you can leave the route if you want to go get a sandwich someplace, but you do have to ride the entire route. You're on your own. There is not support. You have to give us a call if you happen to leave the route, but you know, it's not like a big Century where you're going to see hundreds of people riding by and there's going to be a sag wagon. You're really on your own. You're expected to be a competent cyclist. You're expected to be able to fix minor things that could break, and you know, there's really no shame in if you can't make it, or you know, you get a mechanical problem or you're just not feeling good. You pull off the side of the road, you call a friend, and you try again some other time. There are time limits. The time limits are, again, it really isn't a race. For the really long ones, I know people like to try to get in as quick as they can. But the time limits are on both sides, so you actually can't go faster than a certain speed. In New England, I'm really unaware of anyone who butts up against the opening times. Our routes are very difficult. And for the most part, it's pretty rare that people, especially for the controls, can make it in there in time. But it's designed to keep moving. It's not, you don't have to be a speed demon. Generally speaking, you have to be able to sustain about a 10-mile-an-hour pace, including stops and getting your car to time along. So, it's doable. Normal cyclists can do this. You don't have to be a super person. You don't have to be able to go out and you're riding 200 or 300 miles every weekend. This is really a very, you just have to like riding your bike. Brevets and centuries, the distance may start the same, but no matter what, our brevets are harder. Our 200K, April 6th is the one out of Concord, Mass. It goes from here to just the visitor center of Wachusett. We don't go up the mountain, but you do go to the little visitor center. We go up the hard way to get there. Then we go to Oakham, and then down to Purgatory State Park, and then back over. It is more climbing than climbing to the clouds by a fair amount. You have to be more independent. It's earlier in the year. It's a difficult ride, but it's doable. You can do it. We have.
Tell how many hours it is.
Yeah, and for that, the time limit is 13 and a half hours. I think everyone has made it through, not everyone who starts finishes, but it's really rare that someone actually, for that one, kind of missed the time limit by 15 or 20 minutes. Generally people kind of realize they're not going to make it, and they ride home much earlier, or they do okay. I did it on a fixed gear on a route that was just as difficult. And that was not a special cyclist. I even have a gear bike at that point, or one that I could really ride. I really can't describe how fun they are and how different they are. That's obviously the reason why I like it. Camaraderie, as you can probably tell from the previous discussions, is true. Or even the local ones. People really do help each other out. People talk to one another. You become friends with someone because you got to ride with them for 20 hours on a 400K. It's a different type of cycling, and it's really enjoyable, I think. I had a friend, Chris Conception, who doesn't ride these anymore, but he had a great quote that the first 100 miles is physical, and after that it's mental. And I think that's really true. If you can ride 100 miles, you can basically ride any of these distances. The hard part is just getting through the mental blockage of, how do I keep going if I'm tired, if I'm hungry, what do I eat? That's sort of the challenge you have to overcome. It's not physical. As I keep saying, anyone can ride. There's a gorgeous 7 over there. They're great bikes. Sort of, please buy one if you have the means, but don't feel like you have to. The bike you have right now that you like riding is probably fine. I did it on a heavy bike. It doesn't make that big of a difference. What you're going to find is the longer you go, you become in tune with your bike in ways you never thought you could. So you start finding things, and everyone is different, and everything is very personal. So everyone has a different saddle they want, a different handlebar setup. Someone can say, oh, you have to be riding 38mm tires because that's the only thing that's comfortable. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. There's plenty of people that may say, you know what, I like the feel of a 23mm tire. That's the best thing for me, and that's what they ride. And there's people that do these things on triathlon bikes in full aero kits that I would never possibly conceive of, but they do well. To each his own, and that's the great part. There really isn't anyone thinking, I'm better than that person, or or I can do this because I have. We just don't act that way. So I don't want to really take up any more time. A couple websites, newenglandrenewers.org. That's where you can find registration information and ride information for all the local rides we do around here. RUSA.org, the national organization. I'm actually the board of directors of that as well. And then this last site is something I just launched, rusa.jkassen.org. And that's a surf site, so if you are looking for rides, both locally and if you happen to be traveling, every RUSA ride is on there and you can find something that's close to you. So it's kind of a cool site, I hope. Okay, well, thank you very much.